Well, today, my friends, we have ourselves a fun one. It is a 1996 septic system. New owners, they have no idea where anything is. So we get to go ahead and play the fun game of what are we working with? What type of system do we have? And where is all of the system components and do they work? So I'm gonna take you with me today while we go ahead and take a look at the system, figure out where everything is. But the first thing we gotta do is figure out where's the tank. It's a little windy today, so I'm gonna do my best to try and record when it's not blowing as aggressively. We're on a farm, so all of the air is just kind of blowing right across the field and happens to hit me. When we're looking for a tank, the first thing we wanna do is just do a loop around the house. Once you find the well, usually the septic is gonna be on the opposite end of the home. In this particular circumstance, I know the well is right up front. We saw it as soon as we drove down the driveway. So that means the septic has to be somewhere in the rear of the property. If we take a walk around, a lot of times you're gonna see a clean out. But I've already done a video on what do you do if you can't find the clean out for your septic system. That's gonna be linked right on over here. When we're walking around, what we're looking for are white pipes, green lids, sometimes cast iron, so orange, sometimes terracotta, also orange, but that one's a smooth orange. And because it's 1996, we know that we're gonna be looking for a PVC cleanout. PVC was pretty much the standard piece of equipment and composition of pipe material that was used in the 90s. It's still used today, but most modern septic systems are gonna have two risers, one in the front, one in the back. In the 90s, a lot of time it was just a 6-inch PVC cleanout right on the front of the tank. So we're gonna go ahead, walk to the backyard and see what we find. As we walk into the backyard, we can see right over here is our PVC cleanout. This is gonna be our access point to the septic system. Additionally, I brought my probe with me. This is gonna be my tool to help me figure out exactly how deep the system is or poke around in case I can't find that lid immediately. In this particular circumstance, we found the lid as soon as we walk down this row of trees. You can see it, it's pretty obvious, clear as day. So you may be wondering, what is this pipe? So if we take this off, we'll see that we got water running. That's because I'm running water in the house just to make sure that the plumbing's working. It's important to make sure that we run some water so that way if for whatever reason water's not getting to the tank, we know that we need to investigate. Maybe this is not the actual tank for the system. This particular house, it's 1996, so it's unlikely to have a hidden septic system somewhere on the property. But I run the water so that way when I do find the lid, if I hear the water getting there, I know I'm on the right system and I'm not on a neighbor's house. With farms, you do run the risk of sometimes working on the wrong tank, especially if it's a large property with multiple buildings. You could end up working on the wrong tank for whatever your task is. This particular house is not massive. It's a residential home, so we know we've got one tank. The records indicate that there should be 3 drain fields. We're gonna find those in a little bit. It's important to make sure that you're working on the right system. Not every system's gonna be easily accessible, and not every system's gonna be as apparent as this one. The nice thing is in the 90s, they started kind of getting their act together and making it to where you could find these systems a lot easier. Modern septic systems, you're gonna have pipes all over the place. Some of you might disagree, thinking, those are ugly, I don't like the way they look. It serves a purpose, it's a utility. It doesn't matter what the aesthetics are, it's a functional piece of equipment. It's there to help you as the homeowner service your equipment. You may be wondering, well, I don't plan to service my equipment, so I wanna get rid of that lid. Yeah, but you're gonna have to pump the tank. Yeah, you're gonna have a clog. So if you get rid of access points, guess what? When you have a problem, it's gonna be that much more difficult to remedy the issue. This style of lid, which is what we refer to as the clean out, is going to be over the front of the tank and most importantly, over the inlet to the tank. You may be wondering, why is that important? Great question. The reason that's important is because you might flush something you're not supposed to flush. Let's just say you put a feminine product down there, a flushable wipe, something to that effect. If you don't have a way of dislodging whatever that is, you're gonna have a not so great time with sewage going back to your home. So this pipe is gonna be sat right over the front of the tank. So that way, if you have a problem, you can disconnect that lid and you take a bar and you push it down in there, or a stick just like this, and you can mix up whatever's blocking the inlet pipe. Once you get done doing that, boom, now you're back in business and you don't have anything to worry about. Sometimes you're gonna see white pipes like this one in the bush. Those are what we refer to as cleanouts for the sewer line. So if you get something stuck in the pipe, you can go through there to dislodge whatever it is. Septic tanks aren't complicated. They're really just a large concrete box where when you flush a toilet, all that water plus the solids goes to the tank, heavy stuff falls out of suspension, and then the liquid works its way over into the drain fields. You may have noticed I had a hose inside of that clean out for the sewer line. That was on purpose. The reason I want to do that is I want to make sure that the water's getting to the tank, getting out into the drain fields, and nothing's coming to the surface. So now what we have to do is we have to take our handy dandy probe, start poking around at the ground, figure out where these 3 drain fields are, and make sure the stone is still dry. The very first thing I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be looking at the ground. Now, I can see that there's a little bit of settling here, and a little bit of settling here, and a little bit further on that way. So we know we've got some settlement from where the drain fields would have been dug. So we're gonna go ahead and probe with our probe to confirm that we don't have a drain field up the way. We have one here, we have one here, and maybe one over there. So once you find one, it's a lot easier to find the others. The reason for this is because in our area, all of the drain fields will usually be separated by about 9.5 feet, 10 feet apart. So once you find one, you go up by 10 foot, you go down by 10 foot, and you're likely to hit the other ones. So once we find one, it'll be super easy to hit the rest of them. So let's go ahead and grab our probe around, see what we find, and hopefully we get lucky on this first hit. All right, so we were able to hit the drain field, and what we're looking for is this crunchy sound right here. That's the stone as the probe goes into it. And what we're looking for is this nice white residue on the probe. Now we know we found one drain field. So finding the remaining of the drain fields should be pretty straightforward. This one is gonna be in the middle. We can see that we hit right here. So the next step is we're gonna go 10 foot that way, 10 foot this way. If we hit a stone here, we found all 3 drain fields. If we hit no stone, 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 we know we gotta go a little bit further over. Just because the records say there's 3 doesn't mean you're actually gonna have 3. So we wanna make sure that we prove that there's not 4, or we wanna prove that there is actually only 2 on this particular system. Drain fields aren't entirely that complicated. Essentially all it is a big trench in the ground. In this particular circumstance, it's gonna be about 50-foot runs, so we have 150 foot of total length, 3 feet wide, 6 feet deep worth of stone. So when we're probing into the stone, what we're hitting is a number 2 limestone. So stone about golf ball size, a little bit bigger, right? Smaller than a baseball, bigger than a golf ball. That stone is there to open the soil up. So remember, the tank, its only job is to capture the solids, so that way the clearer liquid, is going off into the drain fields. As you do this, you're going to have a method to open the soil up. That's where the stone comes into play. So you have your tank to a distribution box, a little tiny concrete deal that distributes the water into the drain fields. You're gonna have a perforated pipe, stone on the outside, and then it's gonna be a wall of soil. So what'll happen is, as the water goes in, it'll work its way through the perforations, through the stone, and the soil will be your filtering material. That's why when we're probing, what I'm looking for is not necessarily moisture. I wanna see, is the stone dry? As the drain field's working, the stone should be dry because the water's working its way out into the surrounding soil. If the drain field's kind of nearing the end of its life, maybe it's got biomat in it, it might be wet. It might be wet with some black sludge in it. Biomat is basically sludgy poo that works its way into the drain fields, plugs it up, and it's got nowhere for that water to go. The biomat's what ends up causing the drain field to fail. No matter how good you are with your septic system, a little bit's gonna work its way in there, and that's why it's super important to make sure that you're pumping out your tank on a regular basis. Generally speaking, you're gonna wanna pump your tank every couple years. We usually recommend for a family of 4 to do it every 2 to 4 years. You don't want to go past 5 because that's usually where you're going to start finding some issues. Septic systems fail slowly, so if you're not pumping it regularly, how are you going to know when you're going to have a problem until it's too late? You have a clean out on your tank. This white pipe, this right here is how this particular house is going to clean the system out. We would obviously recommend a manhole riser, which would go right over here, and it would look like a large green lid. Sometimes they're concrete, but it's a 24-inch circle that would go in the middle of the tank to allow for better pumping. So we've probed the drain fields and they're dry. We've run some water through the drain fields and they're still dry after we probed them again. It's important to probe in the beginning, probe in the end to make sure there's no change in the stone texture or color or anything saturation-wise. If that's happening, you got a problem. If the drain fields stay dry, you're good. So in this particular circumstance, we found ourselves 1 tank, 3 drain fields, no crazy shenanigans going on. All the pieces are where they belong, which is the most important thing. If you just moved into a home or if you've lived in your house and you don't remember where your septic is, it's a good idea to have somebody come locate it, verify everything's working, and make sure that if something's broken, they can get it fixed for you without it becoming a major problem. Let me know below, when you bought your house, or just as a homeowner, when's the last time you had it inspected? Could be a good conversation starter. Anywho, I have videos posted every day, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the comment section. Till next time.